Hello everybody, my name is Eric and this is Infinite Chronos. Today we're going to be looking at some watches under $500 that are really great alternatives to the much more expensive luxury brands. Let's go check them out. Alright, so for our first luxury brand, we're going to take a look at Grand Seiko. Now, Grand Seiko was established back in 1960 and Grand Seiko makes some absolutely beautiful, incredible watches. Everything about them is handmade. You've got handmade dials, the movements are handmade, they are just all manufactured, all with Grand Seiko. They control everything, even the growth of their quartz crystals. So you can see why they do this, because they can create these just beautiful, incredible timepieces. Now, I will say that at the entry level for Grand Seiko, with one of their quartz movements using the 9F quartz movement, you're looking at $2,300 for a watch like this. Now, if you don't have that kind of money to spend, and God knows I don't, then let me show you an alternative that I think you just might like. And that's this. This is the Seiko 5 SNK D99. And you can pick one of these up on Joma Shop right now for about $120. Now, what are you going to get for your $120? Well, let me tell you. So first of all, you are getting a Seiko automatic movement. That's right. This is the 7S26. So this is pretty much the forerunner to their 4R movements that they came out with later on. Now, this does have a day and date complication, and I have to say this has an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous blue sunburst dial. It is just absolutely just fantastic. When the sunlight hits it, it just lights up. The way that the indices are applied, they're just done very well. The Dauphine hands, very well done. And the case and the materials used at this price point, very, very, very nice. Now, the brushing on the fixed bezel is absolutely great. I love it, and I love that the numbers are stamped and filled in there at the 5-minute markers. This is just overall, this is really a nice watch. You also have an exhibition case back. Now, there are some drawbacks. I'm not going to hold that back from you. There are some drawbacks, and there are a few. So let's go over that. The first thing I'm going to go over is the movement. This is the 7S26. Now, that means there is no hacking and there is no hand winding. Now, what that means to you is you can't pull the crown out and wind the watch up if the watch happens to stop. So the only way that you are going to be able to start the movement again and wind the mainspring is to shake it. And you shake it for a little bit and it'll start winding that mainspring and it'll get moving again. But that's just kind of a minor thing. I have another Seiko that does that, and that's not a big deal. What my real problem comes down to is the bracelet, and I think that's kind of everybody's problem. Seiko 5s and the bracelets that they come with. This particular one is a folded link bracelet, and I'm going to be honest, it feels a little bit on the cheap side. I will also say that it is incredibly noisy when you take it off your wrist and you shake it. Listen. It's very noisy, and there's a ton of flex in the watch, and that's just not really a good thing for me. It's also a pressed clasp instead of a milled scissor clasp. Now, that's not necessarily a 100% deal breaker, especially if you know that you're dealing with Seiko 5s. But the one thing that really just guts me, and I just couldn't get over that, and still can't, is the fact that you can't do a strap change on this watch. That's right. So it's not that this is an integrated bracelet, because it is absolutely not. What you have here is the way they designed the lugs on this particular watch, and I don't know why they made it this way, but you can take the bracelet off, but you can't put any other straps on there because it's so small and so narrow. So there is that problem as well. Now, overall, Would I purchase a watch like this? Well, absolutely, I would. For 120 bucks, yeah, you're getting a Seiko 5 movement. You're getting a really nice looking dial. You're getting a nice case. The finishing on the case itself is really, really good. So I think overall, that's definitely worth 120 bucks. Now, if you got a little bit more to spend, I'm gonna show you this watch right here. All right, so if you got a little bit more than $120 to spend, let me show you this. This is the Seiko Pressage SRPH 93. Now this is certainly a upgrade from the Seiko 5, and this is something that you might want to consider if you're looking for something a little bit different than the standard Seiko Pressage cocktail timeline that they have. Now, what are you going to get for this $425 that you are going to spend? And by the way, this is available also on Joma Shop. Well, let me tell you, first of all, you're going to get this really beautiful white pie pan style dial. Looks just great. In certain lights it reflects it and it makes it just look like it may be a little bit of a different color. It's just got a lot of visual interest in it. This is using the 4R35 movement, so this is definitely the newer of the movements for the Seiko line. Think of this as the NH35 for those of you that are looking at other watches in that. Anyway, so the other things that you get an exhibition case back on this watch, which is really, really beautiful. You get this really nice gold tone rotor that really just kind of elevates it and adds a nice classy touch. You get a signed crown. You get a polished case and bracelet. On the top, you get this really nice kind of a muted red bezel insert with these little faded gold markers. It just looks fantastic. I think it is just a beautiful looking watch overall. And for the $425, I think it's definitely worth it. Now, what is a drawback to this particular watch? Well, I would say it's $425. But if you have that much to spend and that's something that you're really looking for, this might be something that you might want to check out. Let's go ahead and let's move on to the dive watches. All right, so now we get into one of my favorite category of watches, dive watches. I really enjoy dive watches. They're just something really cool and something real tool watch about them that's just really exciting. Anyway, so when we think of luxury brands when it comes to dive watches, I think one of the names that really just kind of stands out more than any other is going to be, well, Rolex. Yes, specifically we're going to talk about the Rolex Submariner in this particular category here, and it's easy to see why. I mean, the Rolex Submariner is a very iconic looking watch. It was basically developed in 1953, released to the general public in 1954. It had a depth rating of about 100 meters of water resistance, which at the time was absolutely incredible. And since then, Rolex has just cemented itself as the de facto dive watch that most people think of right away. But at $9,200 for the stainless steel no date version, that's pretty pricey, and I can think of a lot of other things I would do with about $9,000 instead of buying a Rolex. In fact, let me show you this little gem right here. This is the Casio Duro, the MDV 106. And I have to tell you, this watch has almost a cult-like following and a cult-like status with it. It is just such an incredible watch for $60. Now, what are you getting for this $60 on this real simple three-hander? Well, you're getting 200 meters of water resistance. You're getting a screw-down crown. You're getting a really nicely finished case and case back. You are getting the dial is just so well put together. It just punches way higher than the price that you're paying for it. This looks like a much more expensive dive watch than it really is. And it comes in a ton of different colors. Different options. You can either go with a rubber strap or a bracelet on these, and the modding community around this watch is absolutely insane. You can do all kinds of mods to this particular MDV 106. They are just incredible. And for 60 bucks, hey, you're not going to beat that, right? Now, there are a couple of drawbacks, I will admit. First of all, the resin strap. The resin strap's not much to really work with. It's okay, but that's easy fix. That's a super easy fix. You go out and you buy yourself a couple of nice watch straps and you just completely elevated the look of this little Casio Duro here. The other thing that I really don't like, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, is the loom. The loom is absolutely just, it's terrible. And you know, I don't know why they feel that loom is probably one of the first things they sacrifice, not just Casio, but anybody. Maybe it's expensive to put on, I don't know. But for 60 bucks, you are getting one heck of a dive watch, and it just looks so nice. In fact, if you haven't already bought one, you need to go out and buy one right now. I'm telling you, these things are absolutely incredible. But if you have a little bit more than that $60 to spend, let's say you want to spend, I don't know, about 350 bucks, then I think you want to check out this watch right here. All right, this is the Islander King's Point. I mean, look at this dive watch. This thing is absolutely incredible. This thing, just looking at it, it just screams to me stealth dive watch. It's just got a real cool factor about it that I just can't get over. I love this watch. In fact, in reading about this watch on the Island Watch website, you see that they got some inspiration from the F-117 stealth fighter, and you can see that in the case. It's super easy to see. It looks like this watch has an integrated bracelet, but it doesn't. It just fits so seamlessly into the case. I just feel like this case design is really awesome. You get a ceramic bezel on this watch that is also loomed. It has an NH35, so you're getting your standard workhorse Seiko movement, rock solid out of the gate. 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown. You're getting this two-tone loom that you have. You have sections of it in BGW9 and other parts that are done with the standard C3 Luminova, which is really great. I love the way this watch is designed. Just the overall design language of this watch is really awesome. It's really tough looking, stainless steel bracelet, but you don't like that stainless steel bracelet, no problem. You can put it on a rubber strap, and the rubber strap also integrates into the watch really well. Nice overall design, looks great. And for $345, this is a fantastic buy if you are looking to get a nice upgraded watch, but you don't want to spend a fortune on doing it. And by the way, this also comes in, I believe it's like 5 different colors, and you have 2 bezel options. There's a stainless steel bezel option that's on this lavender colorway. And I'm telling you, there is even loom on the stainless steel bezel on the numbers inside. It looks just fantastic. So if you're looking for a really nice upgrade on a dive watch and you don't want to break that budget, I highly recommend that you go check out the Islander King's Point. This is without a doubt a great watch, and you just can't go wrong with this one. All right, so let's take a look at Chronographs, and the luxury brand that I've chosen to represent Chronographs is none other than Omega. And of course, I'm talking about the Speedmaster Moonwatch. This was a watch certified by NASA in 1965 for use by its astronauts, and it was the watch worn on the moon in 1967 by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Now, since that time, this has been the only watch certified by NASA for its astronauts, but with a price tag of over $7,000. That's a pretty steep price to pay for a piece of moon or space history, I should say. So if you don't have that $7,000 to spend, what can you get? Well, for around $270, you can pick up the Swatch Omega Swatch collaboration, the Moonswatch. That's a pretty good deal there. Now, you are getting a quartz movement, and you are getting a bioceramic case, and it comes on a strap, and it looks so much like the Omega Moonwatch without the Omega Moonwatch price tag. Now, it is a quartz movement and it is a bioceramic case, so there is that. But if you are absolutely looking for a just one-for-one recreation of the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch, you're not going to go wrong with the Swatch Omega collab. And you know, you don't have to worry about fakes or anything like that because, well, Swatch owns Omega. It's part of the Swatch group. So that's pretty good. So for 270 bucks, you're getting in right at the bottom level of some space history right there. Now, if you have more to spend than $270, let's say you can manage possibly about another $150 or so, then I think you're going to want to check out this upgrade option that we've got. All right, so I cannot in good conscience talk about the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch without bringing this particular chronograph in. This is also another iconic chronograph, and you can pick one of these up on Amazon right now for about $375. Yes, I'm talking to you about the Bulova Lunar Pilot. This is affectionately known as the other Moonwatch. Yep. What is that I hear you say? The other Moonwatch? Yes, this watch also went to the moon. This one was on the wrist of Commander David Scott, who was in charge of the Apollo 15 mission that landed on the moon back in 1971. This is his personal watch that he wore. Bulova gifted this to him to take to the moon with him. The story goes that Commander Scott was using his assigned Omega Speedmaster when the Hesselite crystal popped off, and so quickly thinking, he strapped on his own personal lunar pilot. At the time, I don't know what the name of the watch was, but we'll call it that. And he wore that on the moon, making it the second watch to ever be on the surface of the moon. In fact, you could probably say this was the first watch worn on the moon driving the lunar rover. That's kind of pretty cool there. Now, when he came back, that was actually his own personal watch, and I think that thing sold at auction for like over $1 million, and this was sometime in the future. Now, you can pick this thing up, like I said, for about 375 bucks on Amazon. This is on a NATO strap. Now, what are you going to get for your $375? Well, you are getting the Lunar Pilot is not a mechanical watch. It is, in fact, a quartz watch. And not just any quartz watch, I will have you know. This is using a high precision quartz movement. This means that this particular watch is 8 times more accurate than a standard quartz movement. So, whereas most quartz watches are accurate to within seconds a month, this watch is actually accurate to seconds a year. So this is an incredibly great looking piece of lunar history that you can pick up for yourself. Now, it comes in many different styles and dials and variations, and I think they even have a reduced size because honestly, one of the drawbacks of this watch is that it is 45 millimeters in diameter. It is quite a large watch. But if you are looking to get into a piece of lunar history, this is definitely something you might want to consider picking up. And at $375, this will save you so much money, and you won't even have to fund the next mission to Mars. So why don't you consider this one if you're looking for that history and looking to get a really good chronograph as well. Let's wrap things up now. All right, so there you have it. Those are my alternative budget picks, as they were, to the more expensive luxury brands. Now, I'd like to hear what you guys think, so do me a favor and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this list, and let me know if you think of any other watches that might belong on a list like this. And while you're there, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to my content if you are not subscribed already, so that you can get more content just like this. I really really appreciate all the support and help that you guys have given to me. I've also left the links to all of these watches below. Now, just as a little bit of a caveat, I am an affiliate of Amazon, so if you use any Amazon links in my description, please know I do receive a small commission, but it doesn't affect the price of the watch that you are paying. And if I have you for a few more minutes and you're looking at some other watches and maybe you want to see something else that I've got to offer, why don't you take a look at some of these videos over here. I think these are going to be really good choices. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.